Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Real Estate Disruptors. Today we got Luke Rotvold with Viking Real Estate. One more big name in the Phoenix market. He's going to talk about how he built $10 million in holdings while playing Madden when he's cold calling. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Steve Trang, sales trainer for some of the top home buyers in the country, and I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. One question I get all the time is how to become one of the 100 millionaires. The information on this podcast alone is enough for you to become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you will take consistent action, you will become one. If you want to get there faster, send me a message on Instagram and we'll see if we can help you. If you get value today, please tag a friend below, share this episode right now. That way we can all grow together. And this is a live show, so please ask your questions for Luke to answer. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So first question is, what got you into real estate?
I always had a love for real estate. Even when I was younger, this has always interested me. But what really kind of brought me into it was actually, believe it or not, it was my now wife, which was my girlfriend at the time. She started working for a team, and it was actually with Brent and Dustin.
Okay.
So she got started with them.
So she was working there before you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she was killing it there, and she was there with them for probably like a year.
Okay.
And so they would kind of hold their their little if they hit their goals, they'd go have lunch, stuff like that, whatever, their dinners. And so I'd always go with her. And so then I met them and I just really hit it off with them.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I could always see myself doing this and kind of doing what she was doing. And then she ended up kind of getting out because she did well with it, but she didn't really like it. It wasn't something that she wanted to do for a long time. So I kind of hopped in and I kind of slid in, took her spot.
Convenient.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then, yeah, man, it was just, that was the beginning. And
so she was
kind of never looked back.
Cold calling?
Yeah.
She was cold calling for them.
She was doing cold calling.
So what was that business? I mean, I know this is kind of not really your story.
Yeah.
But what was that situation?
So they were hand dialing because
Okay.
this was years ago, right? This was 8 years ago.
Okay.
So she was hand dialing with them. And she was hand dialing and door knocking. And she was still getting maybe a deal every couple months or something, which, when you're hand dialing and door knocking, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, like I said, she's like, this isn't really for me. And I kind of slid in and went for it. Yeah. And then that was kind of right when the dialer kind of came out. And so started with the dialer and yeah, man, it was, that was the beginning of it.
So you joined Dustin. So it's Dustin Munger and Brent Daniels.
Yeah.
Right. So you're working with them.
Yeah.
You said, and this was 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah, this was 7 years ago.
Okay. So what was that beginning like? Because we all know Brent, the big personality, was always this crazy.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So something about Brent, in case no one knows, if you are too close to Brent, he will headbutt you. And that's not a joke. I've had too many times where I've literally had a big lump on my head. And I'm like, damn, come on, Brent. But that's just Brent. But man, Brent's awesome. He's a great guy.
All right. So what was that setup like? I mean, it was between the three of you.
So it was just the three of us. We'd be in the office or I'd be working from home. And then it was basically I would just cold call all day long. And it was obviously not fun.
No,
come on. Who enjoys really actually cold calling, right? Yeah. So I started out with okay, I'll call maybe an hour a day or maybe a couple hours a day just to kind of feel it out. And then after that, I was like, okay, if you're going to get deals, you got to get more contacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to talk to more people. TTP, there you go.
All right.
But yeah, so it's just it kind of started out small, an hour, a couple hours. Then I kind of started going to 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day.
Through their volition or your own volition?
Through mine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was really open-ended. We didn't really have any our setup was pretty just.
It wasn't Luke, you're not hitting your numbers. What are you doing?
Never. It was never like that. Yeah.
Right.
It was kind of just you can call for us. And I kind of, I called for them and they would comp it out and sell them. And that was really it. But I mean, it started, it took me 4 months to get my first deal, 4.5 months.
Were you working a job this time?
I was selling stuff on Craigslist.
Okay. So you had a little bit of a side hustle, not
I was selling cars on Craigslist.
Okay.
Selling some shoes, stuff like that.
All right.
So that was kind of my initial real thing that got me into the hustle. Actually, I also did some multi-level marketing, but who hasn't done that?
Right. Okay. So you're doing 4 months before you did your first. So let's talk about that first deal.
Yeah.
What was that situation?
Yeah. So I mean, the first 4.5 months was like, you start thinking like, am I going to be able to do this? Is this something I want to do? Like, this is tough.
Yeah. So there is that mental hurdle, especially like you say 4.5 months and you were on a team, right?
Oh yeah.
A lot of people that are solopreneurs, they gravitate towards this business because of social media and everything else.
Yeah.
And they jump into it, and the first 4 months sucks.
Yes, it's awful.
Right? Like, that's not what you hear about on social media.
No.
Right? But it sucks.
Yes.
So how did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, the thing that's tough in that first 4 months, like, first 6 months, whatever you want to call it, that's when you're learning your script. That's when you're taking all the shit that you're not used to taking from people, right? Because like if you're coming in and just going into cold calling, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll talk to some people and get some deals. That's how it works. You're not ready for what's gonna hit you, right? So yes, it's like when you get all that thrown at you, it's eye opening and it's tough. It's really tough. But I mean, what kind of kept me going was just knowing like, there is light at the end of the tunnel, because they were still kind of getting deals from other stuff, and being able to see what they're selling these things for. And so then it's like when you
can see that this isn't fake.
Exactly.
So it's real.
Exactly.
So you just got to pay your dues.
Right. Exactly. And so, but then it kind of comes like, okay, what's going to be that time frame where you're like, I'm going to give up. Like, this isn't for me. And so luckily, 4.5 months in, I got my first deal. I think we sold it, and I think my commission on it was like, I think it was like $3,500, which, for your first deal was pretty good. I was like, all right, sweet. And then after that, like, I kind of started popping one every month.
Got it.
And from that point, that was when I started really kind of, diving in and being like, all right, I'm calling twice as much now. I'm calling 4 hours a day. I'm calling 6 hours a day. Cause I saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
What was your script like?
It was very similar to what it is now, but just not polished. You know what I mean? So, I mean, from doing this now for 6-7 years, I've been able to, take things that you can find out that, okay, sellers don't like hearing that, right? Or make sure you say this and don't say that. Like, there's just little things that you can, you
just
tweak.
know, like, this would always trigger a seller. Let's
exactly.
Stop saying that.
Don't say the word, yeah, we might flip the property. Like, no, seller doesn't want to hear the word flip, because then they immediately triggers to them like, oh, this guy's trying to take me. Or this guy wants to get my house super cheap. So, just like little things like that. But I mean, the script was still very like, yeah, I'm calling about a property I believe you own. Just wanted to see if you'd ever consider selling it. Yes, no, whatever. So I mean, it was very similar, but just not polished.
So I don't know how long Brent and Dustin worked together at that time. I do know that I met Brent when he wholesaled a deal to me. I want to say about 12 years ago.
Okay.
It was back when it was him and Mahoney.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And I still remember, right? It was a $40K assignment fee on the HUD. I was like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
Right. So when you were working with him, what was what were the fees like? What was your compensation structure?
So how we did it, like on average, we would probably make like 15 to 20. That was like the average wholesale. We were hitting Coronado hard. Like that was the area that we were just, I think like 15 of my first 20 deals were in Coronado. Like it was
not that big of an area.
I know, exactly. Yeah. It was nuts, but that was where they were like literally having me just go for it. And back then, oh my God, we were, of course, hindsight, but we were picking up houses for like 110, 120. Like, I don't know if you've seen, if you look at comps in there now, they're going for like 600 for like 1,200 square feet.
So for those of you guys that don't know Coronado, right, is a part of a zip code.
Yeah.
It's a fraction of a zip code.
Exactly. No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it was pretty wild.
You were there, you were cold calling them 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
What was that journey like? I mean, were you part of them as they were growing their wholesaling business, or did you leave before that?
No, yeah. So I was not with them for very long. Like I was with them for maybe probably about 6 months. And then they split, and then I kept calling for each of them separately for probably another 6 months, maybe right around there. And then after that, I partnered with my best friend Jake Landis, and we took off. And we're like, let's start our own thing, because they were each kind of going their different directions, right? Yeah. And so it just kind of made it was like a clean time to kind of go a different route.
It made sense to do the transition.
Exactly, yeah.
So then, how was that transition? Because now you go from a team where leads are provided, you got data, you got a dialer.
It was
hopefully a CRM at this point. What was the transition like from leaving that to doing your own thing?
That transition was not easy. It was crazy. But like, luckily, like, you know, if I needed anything, I'd kind of reach out and be like, hey, could you see me cover that contract? And, you know, they got it. They understood. And, you know, they're both really good guys. And so they never had any issues with it. But it was a tough transition, man. I mean, you go from, it's ultimately going from, you know, kind of like having a job, you know, it'd basically be like going from a W-2 to like a 1099.
Yeah.
Because it was like, yeah, exactly like you said, you had leads provided for you, you had your dialer getting paid for it, and it's not like it's a lot or anything.
It's not a lot, but it's a monthly fee still.
Yeah, exactly. And at the time when you're not used to that kind of stuff, you hop in and you're like, wow, this is kind of crazy. So yeah, so it was a rude awakening. I remember our first deal that Jake and I did, we wholesaled for $4,000. It was in Tempe, and I got it off Craigslist. Found my first deal off Craigslist, $4,000. It was funny, man. It was this, we still have that check. We still have it in our office.
Yeah.
So we've got it, you know, because it was the first one. So
it was a struggle. So what turned around? Or how did you guys, I mean, you guys are crushing it right now. What was that beginning part for someone that's venturing off on their own, whether they're quitting a job or whatever?
Yeah. It's just learning, man. I mean, honestly, like, you know, our first year, we started in like February. We didn't even start like January. We had some other things we were, you know, getting going. But so in February, from that 10, 11 months that we did that one year, we did 72,000, I think, in wholesales. 72,000 in wholesales, right? For a first year.
We all start somewhere.
Right. No, exactly. So it's like, it was not a great year, you know? But again, no, it's just, it's literally just actually taking the time to learn how to do it and what you're doing. Right. And so from that first year of 70, you know, the next year we did 300. So we had, you know, a good growth pattern. The next year after that, we did like 650. The year after that, we did $1 million. And then after that, you know, we've been steadily over $1 million since then.
But how did you do that?
I mean, like I said, I think we went to real estate meetups. So we did real estate meetups. So we were able to kind of start, you know, meeting people that were like, hey, I'll actually buy your deals. Where it's like, you know, before you don't have these pieces in place to be able to sell your deals.
Yeah.
And so once we started going to those, then we started finding people that were like, hey, I'll buy in this area. You know, like I will buy almost anything in this area and I'll buy at a pretty good price. So then we kind of started directing our marketing towards certain people.
So you were finding buyers first.
Yes.
And then you were finding properties.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the Coronado thing you were doing earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Let's find what buyers want.
Exactly.
And then reverse wholesale this.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly what we were doing. So I mean, like at the time, again, we didn't have connect. Like, you know, we had Brent and Dustin, but they were going their own different directions with what they were doing and everything. So yeah, I mean, it was honestly, it was just basically finding out, you know, who was going to buy in what areas, and then we'll pull a list in that area and then just, you know, pound the dialer.
So what lists were you pulling at that time?
We were pulling zip codes because they were cheap.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like through list source or what?
Title companies.
So you go into a title company, which for those guys that are listening right now, like title companies is an often overlooked lead source, right? So you go to a title company. What do you ask for what do you ask from the title company?
So we sat down with, like, you know, I'm not going to say which one, but we sat down with the head of the, you know, the sales team there, told them exactly what we're doing. And they said, you know, they'll give you their data because they're just saying, bring your deals to us though. You know, once you've got a deal under contract, just make sure you do your escrow with us.
Right.
And so, yeah, so we were just like, okay, well, we got a buyer that'll buy in this zip code. We got a buyer that'll buy in Tempe. We've got one that'll buy in Chandler, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, that's honestly all we asked. We sat down with them. They gave us the list.
So they gave you the list.
Yeah.
How'd you get the phone numbers?
That's gonna be a question for Jake. So
not the systems guy.
Not the systems guy, exactly. So one thing you'll definitely, you know, find out about me. I don't do stuff that I don't know how to do or like to do because it's not gonna go well.
Yeah.
You know, so I stick with what I know. So Jake handles all the back end stuff, and I handle all the sales side. So the buying, the selling, the appointments, stuff like that.
So you're the one that's going to all the networking events.
Yeah, well, we were both going to those, to the networking events, you know, meeting the new people and stuff.
And then you're the one that's developing the relationships.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. All right. So you being the sales guy, are you managing the sales people?
We didn't have a sales team.
All right. So I think this is the key point here, right? Because you're legendary for being the guy that cold calls while playing Madden.
Right.
you have videos that
Right,
you just
right.
post.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I think you're talking about maybe having a Twitch stream, or you have a Twitch stream.
No, that's the plan. That's what we're moving towards.
Okay, so you're gonna be twitching or whatever you call it, whatever
Right.
the
I don't
kids
know.
call it
You
these
know,
days.
I'm sure there's a word for it.
So you're gonna be streaming on Twitch. You playing Madden?
Yep.
Cold calling?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
So how can you do that, right? Because multitasking is not a thing, right? Or
Yeah.
we argue you're not supposed to be doing it. So
Right.
how are you able to do both?
Okay. So when I was calling for, 4 to 6 hours a day, as we mentioned, cold calling is not fun.
No, it's not.
Nobody likes to sit there and cold call. It's just like beating your head against a wall. So I was like, I got to do something. Like if I'm going to call like this much regularly, I got to figure something out. So I hooked up my PlayStation and I started out by like on arcade mode, right? Because I was like, I need to be able to pause it whenever I need to, right? So I hopped on, started playing. And then after I started getting, pretty good at cold calling, I was like, I think I could step this up. I think I could try online.
We're gonna challenge ourselves.
Right. I think I could try online. And from that point, that was when everything changed for me. Because like when you're playing online, dude, like that's a blast. Like I love playing Madden online. It's like I could before I was doing real estate, I could sit back and do that for 6-8 hours a day. People do that with Call of Duty and stuff like that too. So that's where I think that this was like eye opening for me. Was I was like, I'm not even like really working right now, right? I'm like I'm sitting here doing what I would normally be doing, but I can actually be calling too. And so it took a little time to like, get good at doing both. And you got to use your, your one time out, sparingly, obviously. But
So
that was it. Let's
talk about some of the challenges.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, when someone answers and you're having a good call, like you've got to be thinking, okay, one thing you have to keep in mind the whole time, the call is more important than your Madden game. That's like the number one thing that you have to keep in mind is like, okay, I'm doing this to help me at work, right? Like I'm not calling to help my Madden. Like that's not how it worked.
Well, you can have a really nice screen.
Yeah, exactly. But so you just had to kind of keep in mind, I had to keep in mind that, okay, the call comes before anything else. And so that was the biggest challenge. Like when you're having like a really, really in-depth conversation, and then you're also trying to play and you're also, whatever, you're about to throw a pick, you're about to get sacked. There's definitely been times when you just scream, or I'll throw my controller, whatever it is. But that's the toughest part. That's easily the toughest part is the having that conversation. You're trying to get the details right, because like how we do our scripts is that we get the details of the property, and I'm just writing it down. So like that's how I always do it, is that I write it down like while I'm playing. I'll just kind of go back and forth a little bit like
so
this.
So not only are you multitasking, you're also writing down with your hand as you're playing your game.
I'm writing all the details. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Cheryl. Yeah, okay, that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Perfect. And how many square feet was that? Okay, great. That's perfect. Awesome. And how much were you hoping to get for this property? Like, this is the conversation you're having with Cheryl while, Von Miller's tearing your head off, And so it's like you're going back and forth, and it's tough. It was tough, but I mean, over the years, I've been able to kind of master it. And so it's
is there a story of you losing your crap playing Madden affecting one of your deals?
There's a story of me losing my crap and throwing my controller in the air at our office, and actually breaking the light in our office because I threw it straight up in the air, and that led to a complete office renovation because we moved the light over and looked up in like through the opening, and we had vaulted ceilings, and I had no idea. So we literally pulled all the ceilings out, vaulted the whole ceilings in the office, and that was from me getting mad and throwing my controller. Exactly.
But did you lose any deals?
I'm sure I've lost deals, from either not paying enough attention to the
not
seller.
Demonstrating enough empathy.
Yeah, exactly. Either that, definitely either lost deals from that, or obviously just in general, just not not being good enough from while I'm calling.
So this is only for cold calling.
Yeah.
Right, to book appointments.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You were never doing this while trying to close a deal.
No. Oh,
you're not there yet.
Hell no. I would not.
I would pay to see this.
I would not jeopardize me trying to get a deal, because like obviously the closing that's where the money's made, right?
Right.
Like the initial cold call, you're gathering details.
So you would pick Josh
Right.
on the PlayStation
Okay.
playing Madden versus a VA in the Philippines. Cold call.
Yeah.
Like heads up, you think Josh in front of Madden is better than a virtual assistant?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Just trying to get context here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So let's talk about this business setup then.
Okay.
And Jake is fully approving of all this.
For sure.
Okay. So what does the business model look like as you're growing your business? Who's in what seats as you're playing Madden?
So, like I said, our team is small. Like we're really small. Like for the longest time, it's just me and Jake, right? So Jake is doing all the back end stuff. He's doing contracts. He's doing the lists, putting them into the system, all that kind of stuff, Mojo, all that. So I'm doing all of the front end stuff. I'm playing Madden, getting the leads, calling them back, staying in front of them, doing the lead follow up. This is when we're just a 2-man team, right? So basically doing all the follow up, and then from that point, going and selling the properties. Mm-hmm. So building the relationships to find the buyers for them, selling them to them. And then, ultimately, going to the properties, taking the pictures, sending the drop boxes, stuff like that.
So,
and you can, believe it or not, you can build $1 million business with 2 people playing Madden, which is pretty wild.
It is wild. So it sounds like Jake was really doing most of the technical stuff.
Yes, 100%.
You were having fun doing the other difficult stuff, which is cold calling, because it's not, I don't want to make it light of it.
Yeah.
Cold calling is not fun.
No, people don't like doing it.
So you were able to do it in a way, kind of like partially sedating yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
With Madden. So you had to do all the sell stuff. He had to do all the back end stuff to support the sell side.
Correct.
And all this time, you guys are both developing a relationship with buyers.
Yeah.
But you're cold calling and you're going to the appointments.
Yeah.
You're doing this physically, all your appointments.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So when then did you make your first hire?
Our first hire was just another salesperson to make more calls.
Mm-hmm. When was that?
That was probably after Jake and I had been going at it for about 2 years.
Okay.
Probably about 2 years. We brought our first guy in, brought him into our office. He sat down with us. We told him, we're going to get another Mojo dialer. We're going to throw you on there. Just listen to me call, watch me play Madden. So he hopped on and then literally started doing the exact same thing. Literally just started, so you
didn't have a system in place necessarily.
No, yeah.
There was no training program.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's sit and listen.
Yep. He came in, listened, and then he started calling. And then, we would obviously I'd still do the closing. So I'd take it from that point. But we'd have him just kind of get the initial call going. All
right. So talk to me about like the evolution, right? Like how did you go from, how many salespeople do you have now?
So now we just hired 2 more. So
okay.
We have 3, and then myself. So we have 4 sales guys. Mm-hmm. Obviously we've got cold callers in other countries as well. And then Jake doing all the back end stuff, and then we just hired a transaction coordinator.
Just hired a transaction
now.
So poor Jake is doing all that too.
Yeah.
Does he not hate you for all this?
Probably, yeah. So we're gonna do probably 2.2 this year. That's what we're on pace for.
We mentioned that you're in Phoenix.
Yeah.
What markets are you focused on?
So we do obviously, I'm sure as everyone knows, when you say Phoenix, that's everywhere in Phoenix, which is Phoenix, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, Glendale, all that.
But more Glendale than probably Chandler.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So Phoenix, Northern Arizona. So when I say Northern Arizona, Prescott Valley, and Chino Valley are the 3 main, that Tri-City area. That's where Jake and I are both from.
Got it.
So we know that area very, very well. So we do pretty well in that area there. But we also do Sedona, Flagstaff, and some of the kind of the smaller cities up there.
Are you doing more in Phoenix or are you doing more up there?
Oh, up there.
All right.
Yeah.
And then up there, are you guys wholesaling or flipping?
We flip almost everything up there.
So you're focused predominantly on flipping?
Yeah.
Because?
We don't want to leave money on the table. We've got the crews together. It. Absolutely. So up there, we've got 3 crews right now that are in place. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense for us to wholesale stuff up there when we've got crews that are waiting and ready. You know, I mean, as everyone knows, you know, when you wholesale property, you're selling it to a flipper for them to make money, right? So you're leaving money on the table. So, you know, when you're getting your own deals, you're collecting what would be that wholesale fee and the flipping fee, right? And so, I mean, our average that we do up there is 52,000. So,
but Jake has to manage the flippers.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I manage them too. So
you manage the contractors.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are picking up a little bit more responsibility.
Yeah. So we've got some we've got like a construction manager up there too. So we've got a manager up there that kind of goes through the projects, and you know, he kind of checks on everything, and so yeah.
All right. So let's talk about those deals up north.
Yeah.
Like, how are you sourcing those deals?
Texting. So we do texting. We do cold calling. We're doing SEO and Facebook.
Got it. And how are you getting those leads?
Yeah.
Jake question.
No, but so for texting, obviously, texting and the cold calling, that's coming through the callers in whatever country they're in. That comes through them, goes through our sales team, and then we take it from that point, and obviously, you know, close the deals. Right.
But you don't know what like the data source or any of that stuff is.
Yeah. No, we use batch skip tracing.
Okay.
And then we also use oh gosh, what is it? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, mainly a Jake question there.
Yeah. Okay. So you've evolved though, right? You're not just wholesaling or just flipping. I mean,
right.
So I guess were you wholesaling in Phoenix or you're flipping in Phoenix as well?
No, we're doing some flipping in Phoenix too.
Okay, so you're predominantly flipping more than wholesaling.
Flipping more in Northern Arizona, wholesaling more in Phoenix.
Got it.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, if the model is to flip it there, why not flip down here?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan for 2022.
Okay.
But we bought a lot of properties over the last 2-3 years. So I mean, like, you know how people say you should pay yourself first? We didn't do that. Every time we would get like a deal that we wanted, we would literally keep it, and then we would burr it, and so we'd be ultimately out of pocket nothing on it. Just throw a traditional loan on it. So I mean, like, it was like a strange like 3 years, because we didn't pay ourselves very much, but we were just accumulating real estate like crazy. Like It was like fourplex, duplex, triplex, Airbnb, duplex, Airbnb. Like, we don't keep anything single family. We either do multifamily or Airbnbs.
Got it. And what is the rationale behind all that?
Just for what they can bring in. Single family, I mean, they're safe, you know, and obviously our Airbnbs are single family. But we don't do anything like long term or a single family. Like, if we're going to keep a single family.
My question is, why don't you go for the active income? Why are you keeping everything and paying yourself so low?
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where we got like shiny object syndrome. We wanted the property and we wanted to keep it. And so it was like, okay, we're either going to pay ourselves or we're going to put that into this property and we're going to keep it. And so that's how, you know, we were able to accumulate so many properties over the past few years. But obviously, you know, we didn't take in a lot of income cash wise to ourselves because we just kept rolling it into properties.
But there's a long-term play.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So can you elaborate on, because
100%.
a lot of people are wholesaling everything.
Right.
Exactly. So I want to, if you can elaborate.
Yeah. So
why you guys made that decision?
I think that Jake and myself, our parents both went through 2008, and so we kind of learned a lot from them, unfortunately in a bad way, and so, you know, rental properties and mailbox money, right? Income, it's very important to both of us, and so, you know, we live good lives right now. We don't need a ton of income to we're already happy and live great lives. And so we would rather build for the future. And so we've been building for the future for the past, 3-4 years by just, buying a ton of rental properties. And so, I mean, ultimately, we've been able to build our cash flow up pretty impressively now.
So both your parents suffered through the crash.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because there are a lot of millennials, right, who experience this.
Yeah.
You're a millennial?
I think so.
Okay. So there's a lot of people millennials that experience this, right? And majority of them became disillusioned with capitalism, and they're more pro-socialism. Right. As a result.
100%.
You did not go that direction.
No, we both went the opposite direction because we knew that, like, our parents, they did well, right?
Mhm.
And then we saw, we saw what happened. We saw it was bad, and so our parents were smart, but they just, there's a couple
They got caught
mistakes.
up.
Yeah, exactly. And so just from learning from them, and then also learning just from other people, other mentors, of spreading your money out, and buying rental properties, getting that money that's going to come in every month no matter what, right? And so that's what we've been doing, and that's why we've been able to put together 31 doors now. So
Got it. And then so flipping Airbnbs, rentals, and then you're developing too.
Yeah.
What's that about?
So we're doing some developing in downtown Chandler right now. We just did a new build duplex we just finished. We just rented out one side, and we've got, I think, an application for the second side, which crazy. Okay. So it was our first developing that we've ever done, right?
So
It's
like
tough.
you
New build.
build from the ground.
Dude, yeah. So it was a little house. It was like 400 square foot. You're familiar with downtown Chandler.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little like 400 square foot house. We knocked it over, and we tried going cheap. So we tried going through different GCs, right? We're like, oh, like this GC, he gave us the lowest price. Yeah, there's a reason he gave us the lowest price.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went through like 4 different GCs. It took us 3 years to build a duplex. It's big. It's a big duplex, but still 3 years.
Yeah.
So it was.
I could possibly, as terrible as I am with my hands, I could possibly build them with myself.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, it was a learning experience for us for sure. But the thing that was awesome about it is that when we first were building it, we're like, okay, they're both 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet. So we're like, oh, we might be able to get maybe 1,400 for rent, like 2 years ago when we were like, oh yeah, this thing should get moving. Now we just rented about now. We just got 2,400 aside.
Yeah. I don't get what's happening in the rent market.
Yeah.
I mean, I get supply and demand.
Right.
But still the numbers are absolutely
It's insane. Yeah. So that was the first one we did. We're doing a new build triplex in downtown Chandler right now. And then my wife and I are actually doing in downtown Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
We bought a lot that's on 2 acres and it's zoned for 34 units.
Yeah, you were showing me photos of it.
Yeah.
So talk about why that makes sense. Because we were hanging out at Brent Dan's birthday party, and you're kind of like sharing me with this vision, and I was fascinated with it.
Yeah.
So can you share the vision why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
That business model?
So it's downtown Prescott. So downtown Prescott's growing super fast. So if people aren't familiar with Prescott, it's a northern Arizona, kind of like a little mountain city. There's not snowboarding. There's not any like snow skiing up there, but it's close to Flagstaff. You get snow. It's got a really just charming downtown area and everything. So it's just really cool. So it's growing super fast. So there's a shortage of housing there right now. So we got this lot that's 2 acres and is zoned for 34 units. So we're gonna come in and we're gonna do 34 units with like a heated pool. We're gonna have a hot tub that's gonna be like a little dog park in the corner. It's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be very it's gonna be kind of one of the nicest complexes that's gonna be up there for sure.
How did you find it?
So I actually got it from another wholesaler.
Okay, so wholesaler sent it to you.
A wholesaler sent it to me.
Okay, at what price?
He sent it to me at $675.
$675.
Yeah.
$675. Okay, and then you're planning on investing. How far along are you in this process?
We're almost through the final plans.
Through the final plans.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much do you plan on investing into this, budget-wise?
So Sage and I are bringing on a partner.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be probably around somewhere in the ballpark of about $7 million.
Okay.
To build.
So $7 million plus the 675, so about 7.7.
Yep.
And then what is the final?
The exit should probably be, just based off of cap rates, the exit should be around 12 mil.
So that's a pretty good project.
Yeah.
All right, so 4 mil.
Yeah.
But you're not going to sell it.
No,
you're going to keep it.
The only way we'd sell it, when we talk to the partner, the only way we'll sell it is if we do get that offer that's just like blow you away.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan is to keep it. Obviously, back to that same exact story I was just telling you. Long-term rentals, adding 34 units, that's doubling the amount of units, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over doubling the amount of units that we have. And yeah, I mean, it's because it's going to be kind of luxury, we should be able to be around 2,000 a unit. The unit breakup is super cool. Now they're all the same, but they're going to be 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And so why that's important is because in Prescott, you have a lot of people that are working at restaurants and stuff. We got a buddy who owns like a ton of restaurants up there. And he said the number one thing that they're having a hard time with is with the rising cost for rent is his employees are not being able to, they don't have enough money to pay for, $1,400 for a studio anymore. Mm-hmm. Right. So if we're at 2,000 and these are going to be really nice places, you'll be able to have like, 2 bartenders or whatever, 2 servers that can split it and it'll be at 1,000 each, which is, that's easier to chew off. So,
all right. So what do you plan projected cash flow when it's all said and done?
Projected cash flow should be, 2,000 a pop. So, it's going to be 68,000, but then minus expenses and everything. We're hoping to be somewhere in the ballpark of probably about 45 to 50.
45 to 50K
per month after everything.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
From a project.
So, and this all, again, I just want to emphasize this for everyone that's listening, right? Like you started off working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. And we had Jason last week. He was the same thing.
Shoes.
Right? So many people are like, I have to work for somebody. I have to do this on my own. I have to do this on my own. Right. I don't need a mentor. I don't need a coach.
Yep.
Right. I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah.
And something I preach a lot is you don't have to learn this on your own. Right. You can hire a coach or you can join someone's team.
For sure.
And 100%. It sounds like when you joined Brent, it wasn't this polished business he's got today.
No.
It was still an up and coming business. We were all struggling.
Oh, you could ask him about it. It was funny. It was fun though.
But you got to learn from someone that's doing it.
Right.
At no risk to you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the risk is zero income, but negative.
Yeah. I mean, you did
downside.
Make great money, You did make great money starting out, but yeah.
But doing that, working for somebody, cold calling, you're able to build your way all the way up to, again, 10 million assets. You're going to be doing 2.2 million in revenue this year, not including once this is built out,
right?
Splitting 40, 50K a month.
No, for sure.
Right. So that's the upside.
That's the upside.
Now, you and I were geeking out on sales.
Yeah.
Right. Before this.
Oh, yeah.
So you're also obsessed with sales.
Yeah.
What kind of sales training did you go through?
Honestly, I haven't gone through any sales training. Right. I mean, it's
or education. What have you learned? Where did you learn it?
Literally. So, I mean, again, I think it's kind of one of those things where I love people. Mm-hmm. I enjoy talking to people.
See, I'm the opposite.
Are you? Okay. So I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy telling, story and everything. So, I think that a part of what made it really easy for me, and I honestly say this, and again, I know I mentioned this at the beginning, was when I got into network marketing. It's tough, man. Network marketing is tough. Like you got to sell family, friends. It's tough, right?
Everyone come over. We're going to hang out. Oh, by the way, here's an MLM pitch.
You're going to sign up. Right. No, so it's tough, right?
Yeah.
The hardest thing about it is that you kind of go into it and after a while, you have a pretty good idea that most people are not going to be successful in it. That's what's tough. Is that then you're like bringing people in that you're like, they're probably not going to do well, but I'm going to, see if they want to sign up anyway. So with how difficult that was, going into cold calling and sales with people I didn't know was like a breath of fresh air. I'm not even kidding. It was like, I don't care if this person tells me no, I'm never going to talk to them. I'm never even going to see them. Right. Yeah. So everything, it was like a huge, weight lifted off my shoulders of when I got into that. Cause it was like, this is easy. I'm never going to see this person. Right. Yeah. So it was very, very easy. And so when it comes to sales training, I literally didn't do any, like I said, I worked with Brent and Dustin for a little while. That was it, man.
So I think so you must be intuitive.
Yeah.
You can figure it out on your own. So I think this is a great point though, right? Going from selling friends and family, which is not fun.
No.
Pitching.
Yep.
Especially with MLM is blind pitching.
Dude, yeah.
They don't even know it's coming.
No. So, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys tried this juice right here? Like, no, it's tough, man.
So the transition there is easier.
Yeah.
How many different MLMs were you in?
Two.
All right. How successful were you in those MLMs?
The first one I was really young. I was 17. So it was tough. It was like I was in that one for maybe like 6 months, and it was eh. The second one I did pretty well in.
Yeah. What was the second one?
Income wise, it wasn't like well income wise, but like status wise, basically
on the
through
pyramid, you're doing pretty good.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Basically.
What was that MLM?
That one was Live Smart 360.
All right. So my parents did Herbalife when I was a kid,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And they were terrible.
Okay.
My parents are not salespeople, right? And so at one point, while I was in college,
Yeah.
I was gonna sign up for Amway.
Okay.
My dad's like, "Don't be stupid. Like this Herbalife thing didn't work for me. Like, don't do this Amway thing, right?" So I was like, "Okay, fine, I won't do it."
Yeah.
But then I learned later on, I was reading Multiple Streams of Income by Robert Allen.
Yeah.
And he says like one of the best experiences you want to be a business owner is to join an MLM.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn networking,
absolutely,
marketing, sales.
Dude, it's so true.
There's so many things that translate very well from being an MLM to running a business.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. It's
the only other one I recommend. No, I'm sorry. Recommend's the terrible word. The only other one I recognize that translates well is dealing drugs, right? That's the other one that does really well, that translates into running a business.
Right, yeah, for sure.
All right, so
that's awesome.
Talk about, what are some of your biggest challenges today, right? Like trying to grow your business as it stands today.
I'd say the biggest challenge now is because we have not been super team oriented over the past, 6 years of Jake and I being together, is now we're going into that phase now of building out a team. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a little bit new for us, right? Like from going of just Jake and I being in the office, going in whenever we want, and just kind of like, whatever. Like I'll call, whatever.
Do whatever you want, whenever you want.
I mean, yeah, honestly, and so that I think going into building out a team now, I'm excited about it. Jake's super excited about it too. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be the biggest kind of not hurdle, but just I think that's going to be a little bit different from what we've done in the past.
So
training.
Why are you doing that?
Because we want to. We want to get to the point where Jake and I are not doing everything. That again goes back to that conversation we had.
Right.
It's just right now we're doing everything. I mean, we're literally doing absolutely everything in our business. It's great because we don't have to pay anyone else out. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure Jake doesn't like writing emails at, contracts at 11 at night. And
he's still doing all that?
Yeah. And I mean, and I don't like, taking calls from Karen because she's like, hey, I was supposed to close last week. What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, well, I know. I thought I told you already what happened,
All
so
right.
Stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just those things we're excited to kind of get off of our table.
Yeah. Put out fires.
We're wearing too many hats right now.
All right. So I'm going to totally butcher this name.
And it's the only way to grow.
I want to say Kiali.
Oh.
Why are you playing video games when you're cold calling?
Why am I playing video games?
Yeah.
Because I love it. It's one of those things where I think that not enough people realize that if you love to do something, you're going to be very good at it. And so, I mean, obviously I didn't love cold calling. Again, no one does, but I injected something that I love and it made it so easy. It changed everything for me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Made it less painful.
It did. And so it made it possible to sit there and call for 6 hours a day. And it was not a big deal at all. It was not a big deal at all, where before I couldn't have done that.
So really what it comes down to is you were basically avoiding cold calling. Like there was an element of call reluctance, right? Not excited about it.
Right.
And you can endure more cold calling.
Exactly.
If you're playing video games.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, it's like you do something that you love to do, you're going to be good at it. If I'm sitting there playing Madden all day long, made it a lot easier to, to hop on the dialer.
Sure. Something I've thought about and never done.
Yeah.
Is when I was only doing residential real estate, like for me, I was like, why don't I just go play poker, right? Because I can do everything on my phone. I can do lead follow-up. I can answer calls, right, as a listing agent.
Yeah.
I can do all these things. The only thing I couldn't do was show houses, but I can have people show houses.
Yep.
So for a while, I was like, the life will be playing poker, right? Yeah. Just playing all in poker.
Yeah, exactly.
Poker, right?
That's awesome.
But we never got that far.
Someone else that comes to mind when I think of doing what they love and they've been able to build their business around it is Chris Iman.
Yeah.
That dude, I love Chris. He's such a cool guy. The guy has built his business to where, he's dispo,
And he's just yachting.
Exactly. Like, dude, you can dispo from anywhere. He's told me that so many times. Like, as long as I got internet, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, half the times he's in the Bahamas. You know?
Well, and I love, like, right, he's like, hey, anyone that wants to use my yacht,
Yeah, I know.
you got to send me enough deals.
Yeah.
And you can use my yacht.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he's, you know, so Chris is a great dude. And he's another guy that I think of when I think of someone that's just like, they live the life they want to live.
Right.
You know, and they've been able to build their business around it.
Absolutely. Carson Whaley wants to know, what is it that you think led you from 60K to 300K in 1 year? What do you think?
What was the difference from 60 to 300?
Yeah. What changed in your business to go from 60K to 300K?
A big part of it was getting buyers, getting solid buyers that were in the areas that we knew we wanted to buy in.
Mm-hmm.
That was that was one of the big things for sure. The 60 to 300 also, I mean, I think it also came down to, we had a full year now of lead follow-up, right? So obviously when you're first getting in the business, you don't have any leads built up. You don't have a funnel, right?
Yeah, there's no pipeline.
Exactly, no pipeline at all. And so you're not going to be closing deals from 6 months ago or a year ago. You know, you're just not. And so once you have a solid full couple of years of lead flow, you know, in your pipeline, you start getting deals that come back to you where they're like, hey, Luke, we spoke 3 months ago. Are you still interested in buying my property? Yeah. It's like those deals right there. Those are the best deals. Because when those ones call you back, they're ready to go right now, and they're fat deals too.
Yeah. Well, if they're calling you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I think that's what I'd say would be the biggest difference from that 60 to 300 is literally just time.
Yeah, time's on your side.
A lot of people don't realize like that it takes time. You know, you have to have patience.
The example I've seen, right, or the analogy is priming a pump, right? Like, yeah. You can prime a pump, and it sucks in the beginning.
Yeah.
But if you keep priming, it pays.
Yeah. No, exactly, for sure.
Alex Zazapita wants to know, what did you tell yourself to get through those tire kickers to get to your first deal, right? Like, there were a lot of people that were wasting your time, frustrating you. What did you tell yourself? That
a deal's coming. I mean, you just have to know it's coming. You know, if you're gonna, you know, think that it's not coming, I mean, you're gonna set yourself up for failure. I have so many people reach out. I was telling you this. I have so many people reach out and they're like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm calling 30 minutes a day. Like, I've made 40 contacts this week, and it's like, you think that's enough to get a deal? Like, hell no, it's not. Like, dude, you got to be. There's times where I had my lead like tracker that I'd created. I was making 120 contacts a day. 120 a day. Like, you know, you make 120 contacts in a day. You know, you multiply that times 5 for a week. You're talking to a lot of people. Like, you're gonna get deals. You know, so people just have to realize that you have to like put yourself. You got to get in front of people. If you don't get in front of people, you're not gonna get deals.
Yeah, it sounds like Brent's program.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then this tracker, you want to talk about your tracker?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first got into real estate with Brent, I'd write down my like leads, right? Like my leads and like my tracker for like how many contacts I'd make. And I was like, man, like I need to do like there needs to be something like this. And so last year I was sitting down and I was thinking, I was like, man, like there needs to be a cold call planner. Like if there's like a cold call planner for people who are first getting into real estate, like first getting into cold calling, where you can actually track the things that you need to track to be able to be successful in the industry, like it'd be really smart to have something like that. And I was like, there's nothing out there like that. There's nothing. Yeah. And so I made one. I went and created one, and it's literally got all of the things that I wish that I had when I first got into cold calling, and into wholesale. So I mean, literally, you can track how many contacts you made, how many hours you called, how many leads you got, how many appointments you booked. You know, your time tracker, so it tracks how many hours you called for. Your contact tracker, so you can mark them off with how many you're making. So again, I was just doing this on a piece of paper, and I'd literally fill in 1 through like 80 or 1 through 100, and I'd sit there, and this was before I was playing Madden. But then I'd literally sit there and I would mark them off. I'd mark them off just so like I could keep track of how many, even though, you know, Mojo does it, like I just needed something to like keep me kind of active, because I'm fairly ADD as well. Yeah. Not sure if you know to tell, I move around a lot. Yeah. So like I just need stuff like that. And then obviously when you're sitting down for 6 hours, you need something like that. So it gives you like daily goals, weekly goals, quarterly goals, and then you fill them in literally every single week, and you see where you're at with your numbers.
Well, I think exactly like KPIs, right? Like we all harp on KPIs.
Yep.
But it's hard to track KPIs if you're not actually writing it down, or if you don't have a great CRM.
Yeah.
To modify all that.
And so with this, the thing that's kind of cool is that you can be like, man, like, why do I feel like I didn't get any like leads last week? Or why didn't I book any appointments last week? And then you can literally look back through your week and be like, okay, maybe it's because I made 15 contacts for the week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of holds you accountable.
And then Kelly's question goes back is, what would you say to someone that's afraid to make cold calls because they don't know what to say to a seller?
You have to do it. You got to jump in. If you don't jump in, you're literally just gonna analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, if you're kind of scared to get started, you're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to learn by from your mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. Trust me.
Well, you like to learn intuitively.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So
for sure.
I'm more of a textbook learner.
Okay.
So, Callie, if you're interested, right? I mean, we have our own sales training program where we teach you what to say, how to say it,
Cool.
why you say it that way, and so on, so that you have more confidence.
Right.
To explore. And actually, I see Alizette's in here, and so she's actually gone through it, so you can actually compare notes with her.
Cool.
And then Steffi, what list would you recommend that's not too competitive, but also very motivated sellers? I don't know if such a list exists, but is there a list that you recommend that's not competitive but has motivated sellers?
I mean, the list that we would say is like the easiest, that kind of we have the best luck with, is obviously non-owner occupied, high equity, hasn't been sold in the last 5 years typically. And then again, we actually still pull lists in just zip codes that we know will kill it in. So I mean, like in these areas in northern Arizona, we'll pull zips that we know, like, we can sell stuff for, okay, if we do a flip in this area, it's bringing in a number way over market value. Like, it's not even a question, just because of where it's at.
Yeah.
So we'll pull lists like that too, just because we know we can probably pay retail for it.
Also helps though that you're the flipper.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So if you're not the flipper, you might not have as much confidence.
For sure.
In number, but you've got insane confidence.
Yeah.
If you're the buyer.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I know I can do this.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But yeah, I'd say high equity, non-owner occupied, and then obviously, just not sold in the last 5-6 years.
And then follow-up question from Callie is, should I start doing wholesaling by myself at first, or should I find someone new to start and become partners right away, or do I ask to work or partner with people in the business already?
I would recommend what you said. I would recommend either starting on a team where you can learn a lot. I mean, from my year that I was with them, I learned so much. And so, I mean, like, I would either start on a team, or the other thing I'd say is, if you are going to go by yourself, I would definitely say be around the people, like, get around the people that know what they're doing. Again, when we went to the wholesale meetups, meeting some of those people that can actually kind of help you along the way a little bit, stuff like that. I mean, that's probably what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, what's really cool is, we have a very similar circle, right?
Yeah.
And if you're hanging around our circle, like, there are things that for us is like a no-brainer. Like, it's not even like a hesitation. But for someone's like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do about this? And it's like, oh, that's easy. And it's just...
Yeah. No, exactly.
We've done it so many times. So it's really important to surround yourself with people that are actually doing the business.
Actually doing deals, too. And that's the other big thing, too.
Yeah. And then Blake on Instagram wants to know, have either of you signed a contract, have the seller get arrested a couple of days later?
Was it?
Have you ever had a seller get arrested a couple of days after signing the contract?
No, but we did have a seller die 3 days after we signed a contract.
Mm-hmm.
And that was tough. Man. We went through about 9 months of trying to find the heirs to their family, and it was wild. We got into it was crazy. There's a long story there, but we haven't had anyone get arrested. But we did have someone pass away.
So Blake, I've never had anyone get arrested, but as long as they're not in solitary confinement, you can make it happen. You can have a notary. You can go have someone meet them. Right. Probably what I would recommend is whatever title company you're using, have them address a power of attorney that they will accept. And then have the person that got arrested sign a power of attorney in front of a notary. They probably have one at the prison.
I would think they would too.
Right? They're probably not having random notaries go. They probably have a notary at the prison.
I would think so.
Or at the jail. And that's how I'd work with that.
Yeah.
For someone brand new, do you recommend them use a dialer or cold call by hand first?
Dialer all day.
Yeah.
You can't. Cold calling by hand is just not. It's not productive. It's just really not. I mean, when you've got things like a dialer out there, you're gonna learn so much faster. You're gonna go through a lot more no's, which is what you need to get to your yeses. And so, I mean, if you're hand dialing, it's just gonna take you a lot longer.
People on Instagram want to know what's in the box. I don't know what box they're referencing.
Oh, I think I know. So,
Are these the Mitch Murray leads?
remember how I told you that I needed your shoe size?
Oh, yes, I do remember.
All right, so I wanted to do a little something for you.
All right.
So you're a master closer.
I like to think so.
You're a
Thank
master
you.
closer. So from another master closer, I wanted to get you a little something.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
From the master closer.
He is the master closer. He is the best closer. In case you didn't know, Aaron, the best player of all time.
He is. He
MJ
is. So I wanted to get you a little something.
Thank you.
You know, I don't know if you'll wear them, but I'm a big shoe guy, and
I will absolutely wear them.
I wanted to make sure that I got you something a little
so,
cool.
A Wednesday next week. So I played actually this morning.
Oh, did you?
I played this morning, and I had the best game I've had in a very, very long time.
Oh, there we go.
Right?
All right,
So
awesome.
I'm 42, right? We're past that.
You dropped 42.
We're past that point. No, so I played this morning, and I in one game, right, to 11, I was 5 for 6 with 3 threes.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
There we go. I like it.
It was just one of those days
You're
where you just
it.
feel good.
Yeah.
So that's probably gonna be the last one in my 40s.
There we go. There we go.
But this will probably help.
Have you played in ones before?
I haven't played this. I will play in these,
And
and
ones, they're great.
maybe I'll live stream it for you.
Yeah. You better.
Twitch.
Yeah, you better do it.
All right, so we got that. William Cass, what do you think is the future of wholesaling based on the negative press recently, like in Atlanta? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with what's going on in Atlanta. What did you hear about Atlanta?
So I heard that they're trying to put in some laws right now. I actually talked to buddy Brandon Barnes last night. But yeah, I guess they're trying to put in some laws right now. Just stating that, they're trying to outlaw it or trying to do some things to make it a lot more difficult to wholesale.
What's the negative press?
I don't know the detail. I just know that that's the press though, that it did make some frontline news there.
So I will share Williams Cass. This is my opinion. If it's a matter of having to get your realtor license,
right,
then you just go get your realtor license.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It will suck though if, kind of mentioned earlier about the drug dealing thing, right? As if you're a convicted felon, this screws
you. Can't do that. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Which I don't like that part.
Right.
Because you're making it harder for someone to make a living. I don't like it anytime you take away someone's opportunity to make a living.
For sure.
The other component is anytime legislation is passed to help somebody, it screws that somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So we saw it firsthand with short sales. We did a lot of short sales.
Right.
And what they did was they made it so that you couldn't prey on short seller on people that are upside down. So you couldn't prey on somebody that's upside down. So what happened? They're no longer a short sell lead. Yeah. And instead of short selling their house, they get foreclosed on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So to avoid preying on distressed
You're
sellers,
actually helping them out though.
Yeah. So instead of preying on distressed sellers, now they're getting foreclosed on.
Yeah.
Who's helping who here?
Exactly. You were helping them avoid a foreclosure.
Right.
Be able to save their credit and possibly walk with some money. But yeah.
Yeah. So now they can't, if they want to buy a car, they're paying stupid high interest rates. And so what I foresee, because this actually came up in a coaching call this morning, is if they change it where you can't wholesale, what does that happen? What does that do? People like you and me are going to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. No doubt about it.
Okay. We won't wholesale it. We'll close on it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll flip it. Yeah. What happens in order for that to happen? There's less competition in wholesaling.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's fewer people bidding on that home.
No doubt about it.
And because we have to get hard money or whatever, we have to buy it deeper.
Yep.
So the homeowner who we're helping through our legislation will walk away with less money.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
It sucks.
There's no doubt about it.
But, if we can protect the people.
With how things are right now, I mean, as you know, in Phoenix, people are walking away with stupid money for their houses. They're walking away with money that doesn't even make sense. So it's like, you're going to take that away.
You're going to take that away. I mean, the only person that will win here, only people that will win here would be iBuyers.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So Victories on Instagram wants to know, what percentage would you consider a homeowner with high equity?
We usually say at least 50.
All right. And then Anton wants to know, what kind of dialer are you using?
Currently Mojo.
You're still using Mojo?
Yeah.
You're not past Mojo yet?
No. I'm a creature of habit for Mojo.
Are you using single line or triple line?
Triple.
You don't have any problems with latency?
No.
Oh.
No, it's been good.
Yeah,
I haven't had too many issues.
Have they fixed the issue where you can't listen to the recordings?
We were going through that a little bit. I'm not sure if they fixed it or not yet, honestly.
Yeah. So anytime, and it could be because we stopped using it a couple years ago.
Okay.
The problems we had with Mojo was that anytime you try to listen to the recording, it sounded like they recorded underwater.
Oh, really?
Right. So you couldn't. It's hard to coach your team up.
What's your team using for?
We're using Call Tools 2.0 now.
Are they headphones or just through?
USB plug-in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do obviously just on our phone, and we just do Jabra headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We've had really good luck with them.
That's good. That's awesome.
They're like the noise canceling with the whatever little thing comes down. So.
Oh, sorry, I didn't actually show the shoes. I apologize, everybody. So there you go. Look at that. Sexy. All right.
Oh yeah.
Here, we'll just put that out here for everyone to see. There you go.
There they are.
Yeah.
I almost kept them. I was like, these are pretty great. No.
I wouldn't blame you. Though. They're sexy. I will definitely be posting those as they get used.
Perfect.
Are there insurances you have to run your business? That's from Jeremy on Instagram as well.
Nothing that I know
of. They're supposed to be E&O.
At least if there are, we don't.
They're supposed to be E&O, but we don't use an E&O for wholesaling. I mean, most insurance is crap anyway.
Yeah.
I think that insurance are in the business to deny claims.
Yeah.
I think that is their exact
not even a
business
question.
model. It's like, how do we deny as many claims as possible?
Exactly.
What are the regulations on texting now? Are you familiar with the regulations on texting now?
No.
So Williams, as far as I'm aware, we still have TCPA compliance issues, and I know that they're making it harder for people to text. But as far as I'm aware, the penalties are the same as they've been for the last, 8-10 years.
Right.
It's just now they're making it easier to enforce those penalties. So I don't think the regulations have changed. I think just easier to penalize.
What I've heard too, I mean, not regulation wise, but I've heard that like there's certain like words that you can't include in your text, and if you include those words, then obviously then they'll get like kicked back or something. So.
Yeah, they get flagged as spam and they won't make it through. So we had today, so congratulations, our very first Reddit comment, right? Which is the Mitch and Murray. So
there we go.
Looks like we're live on Reddit because we were shadow banned for a minute.
Oh, serious? Okay. Perfect.
And then let's see. So we talked about your organization already. You mentioned you're scaling, and I asked you why.
Yeah.
Right. So you could 31 doors now, potentially 65 doors in a matter of less than 12 months.
Yeah. It'll probably take 2 years because it's such a big project.
Okay. But
still, yeah.
Why go through the pain of growing a team if things are working the way they are today?
So the biggest reason is, like I said, is taking some of that off of our plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the second thing is that my business partner, Jake, and I, we want a lot out of life.
Mm-hmm.
Super happy, where I'm at right now. Like, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
When I look back at it and think of like, okay, when I was 21, if I would have thought like, okay, where are you going to be at when you're 31 or 30? I'm sorry, I just turned 32 now.
God, you're old.
But yeah, I know. But no, like I'm extremely happy and I'm extremely grateful.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm 32. I'm not dying anytime soon. At least I don't think. And so no. So I mean, I definitely think that it's just one of those things where once you start scaling, you can start growing your business a lot larger. We're also, Jake and I are going to be doing like a little kind of special. We're going to be road to 1,000 units.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to get 1,000 units. So that's going to be like a big thing we're going to be doing is pushing for that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. CEL on Reddit wants to know, what's the average cost of starting a successful wholesaling business?
If I was to guess, I would say you could probably do it for about $2,500. I would say that'd be the price where it's like you could
start.
Yeah, exactly.
But to maintain,
not to keep running. No.
Yeah.
$2,500. I'd say you can spend some money on marketing. You can get a dialer going. You can get, some of the things going that you need to, right? Some of the fake numbers and stuff like that, where you can kind of get all the systems rolling, but not maintain. Yeah. I mean,
So what would you estimate is your monthly overhead?
We keep our monthly overhead low right now that we don't have, we don't have a lot of employees that are really on payroll right now. We're about to, pretty soon here.
Yeah.
But we've kept it insanely low for the past few years. Would you say with marketing or no?
With marketing.
With marketing, we're probably spending about 15 a month.
Yeah. So
15,000.
15,000, right?
Yeah.
And so for comparison, right? So we're not making as much as Luke is, but we're spending over 30 grand a month, right? Between marketing, labor, and all the different tools, because there's no shortage of things to sign up for. They can $39.99 you a month to death. All right.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So, but to start and run a successful wholesaling business, CL, I think, you know, if you had $3 grand a month,
yeah,
you could probably,
I think so,
run a decent business.
Yeah, and you're not gonna have a big team, obviously. You know, you're gonna have it's gonna be maybe you and one other person. But again, if you're doing that at 3,000 a month, if you can just get one deal a month, you'll be fine. You'll be doing well.
And then I'm Original wants to know, what is your gamer tag?
It's L-train-28.
I was hoping it was gonna be something super embarrassing.
I wish it was too. No, L-train-28. So obviously I'm a big Vikings fan. 28 was my boy Adrian Peterson.
All day.
Dude, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he was my, I loved him.
What is your superpower?
My superpower. I would say my superpower is, I would say it's my ability to just stay me, like being me. Like, like I said, I there's certain things in our business where I'm not gonna be good at them, so I'm not even gonna try them, right? Like I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna be good at it. I think that like just staying with what I'm good at, staying with what I know, and again, just like I'm just comfortable being me.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different wholesalers, there's so many different routes you can go, and we've really just kind of stayed with what we like. I mean, I like doing things that I like doing, right? So when we do our rehabs and stuff like that in our Airbnbs, I love design. Like I love doing the design on the properties. I love doing the you know, like picking out like it sounds crazy. Like I like picking out the couches. I like picking out the you know, whatever, the tile, the countertops, all that kind of stuff. So I enjoy it, and so I still do it. And so I mean, I'd say just staying who I am.
I would say it's a bit of a shock.
Okay.
Only because you mentioned a moment ago that you get ADD.
Yeah, I do.
And ADD and staying in your lane they don't work together.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So we actually have someone in our office, Aaron, you met him on the other side of this wall, right? And he actually asked me, he's like, hey, I want to get into Airbnb. He's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, okay.
And only reason why I was saying that is that Airbnb can become a full-time job if you don't do it correctly.
They can.
So how would you counsel somebody that wants to get to Airbnbs?
Okay, so again, I think you just have to take a look at like what you want out of life or what you want out of your Airbnb, right? So I mean, we're gonna have as soon as our next two are finished, we'll have 9. So the ones that we have, they make about 3,000 a month after everything. So I mean, you know, we're talking 27 a month off of 9 Airbnbs. So it's like that's a good chunk, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like to me, that's worth it. It's worth it to kind of put up with some of the stuff, you know, to put up with some of the hey, the last guest, their dog pissed the bed, whatever it is, right? Like there's all kinds of things like that. Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the last guests just found a turd under one of the beds, something like a dog turd, and they're like, I was just sleeping under this bed. There's a dog turd under here. We're like, well, I guess our cleaner didn't get it. Like,
probably.
Yeah, you know, yeah, exactly. But I mean, so like, there's things like that you're gonna have to put up with. But again, like, you just have to see if it's worth it for you. But I mean, we have a property manager, that kind of handles all of our Airbnbs. So I mean, we get, you know, she'll text us and say, hey, like, what do you want to do about this? What do you want to do about this? But I mean, like, we have someone in place where.
How many Airbnbs do you need before you hire your property manager?
I mean, again, I think it just depends on what if you want to manage them, you know, or is it going to be like a side income? If it's a side income as a side hustle, I would say probably on your third one.
On your third one.
Yeah. I'd say you should be able to do one, or you should be able to do definitely one. You should be able to be able to do 2 on your own too.
Yeah.
And then again, wherever you're going to have your Airbnb, just make sure that you have like your like logistics in place. Like a cleaner is extremely important. Like it's everything. Like people don't realize that. Obviously our cleaner missed the dog turd, but I mean, but no, like cleaner is extremely important. And then also having a handyman. because things are going to come up with the property where you're going to need someone to be able to go do things for the property right away. So those are the two big things that you got to have in place. But if you have those in place, it's not that bad.
Yeah. What is the greatest lesson that you have learned?
Man, greatest lesson I've learned. I would say in wholesaling or just in general?
In general.
In general. I think that if you just treat people with respect and treat people how you want to be treated, that it comes back around to you all the time. You know, I think that people, what I've seen is especially in this industry, I've seen people that are assholes and a lot of people don't like them and you see bad things happen to them. And I think that you see other people that are just generally good people that, you know, people like being around. You know, people that when you think of when you talk to other people in the industry, when they talk about them, they have nothing but amazing things to say about them. And we all know those people, right?
Yeah.
And so like when you think of those people, that's who you want to be. Like you want to be one of those people where when anyone says your name, it's always brought up in a good light.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your favorite, best, or most interesting failure?
Ooh. Gosh, favorite, best, or most interesting failure. That's tough, man. I haven't even thought about that. I would say that like, even though, because I also said it's kind of one of my strengths, but I think the fact that I won't, that if I'm not good at something, sometimes I kind of I'll just push it off too fast. Where it's like, rather than even trying to take the time of learning it, I'll just kind of be like, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm good at sticking with what I know, but then if there's something that I don't know or something that I don't like, I just won't even go down that path.
Yeah.
Where you know, could be shutting off some things that could be really good.
It's that double-edged sword, right? I mean, there's something that I believe very strongly. What are your strengths are also your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right? It goes both ways.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd consider that definitely like a failure of just like how, you know, I won't even put myself in the position.
Yeah. But you're aware of it.
Yeah, for sure.
What book have you gifted more than any other?
Oh. I mean, obviously there's The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but I mean, my favorite that's like kind of more unique is, have you ever read The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari?
I have not. I've heard about it.
That's a great book.
What do you like about it?
Just in general, it's just like, again, it kind of makes you look at things like through a different perspective of like overall like life in general, right? Because obviously how the title is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. So it's, you know, him talking obviously about he's got his Ferrari, he's a doctor, and so he ends up getting rid of it because he's going to chase the more important things in life. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of been big for me too, is like, you know, what are those things in life that are most important to you? You know, and chasing those instead.
Right. And it's a great reminder because a lot of us do not, maybe unclear that's what we want. And we want material things.
Right.
And we think will make us happy.
Yeah.
And there's something I read not too long ago.
These will make you happy on the basketball court, but you know.
There's something I read. It was Keith Cunningham, right? He says that most of us mistake pleasure for happiness.
Yeah.
Right? We'll receive pleasure when we get the car, but it's not happiness.
No, yeah, exactly.
It's temporary pleasure. We get all those dopamine hits, and it's pretty high.
Yep.
But it's temporary.
For sure. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
So, all right. I want you to think about what you want to leave the listeners with. Make a couple of quick announcements. Guys, if you get value today, please like, subscribe, share, comment. It helps us reach more people. I'm looking here. We get 20 likes, 20 thumbs up, and 2 thumbs down. I don't know what that's about, but 20. For that reason alone, I see 47 people watching. I need you guys to hit the thumbs up to make up for those 2 thumbs down. So please, again, like, subscribe, share, comment. It helps us reach more people. And then we do have our all-day sales training 2 Fridays from today. So in 9 days, where we'll be talking about our sales process from beginning to end. If you guys are walking away from any deals that were closable and you didn't get it, you need to show up. To me, I think there's no greater tragedy than a seller that's willing to accept your price.
Oh, yeah.
And you walk away without that closing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That is expensive. So guys,
No doubt
if that's
about it.
happening to you ever, you guys need to come. Be sure to tune in next week. We got Chris Johns coming in. He's going to talk about how they're actively scaling their business to 12 markets. What's it going to take to scale to 12 markets? I think that's a mind-blowing number.
Yeah.
So what are some last thoughts you want to leave the listeners with?
I mean, honestly, I'd say, with cold calling, because I mean that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
With cold calling, if you guys are, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are dipping their toes in, or kind of thinking about getting into it, you can make a lot of money off of it. You really can. And I mean, you have to kind of get going on it. And I know it's tough and it's scary to think about. But I mean, if you just dive in, once you really kind of get flowing, like once you kind of get like a good kind of flow going, you're gonna get deals. Like you really are. And if you're not good at it, then take on someone else, and then you handle the back end stuff. Yeah. And if you're not going to be doing either one of those, then yeah, maybe it's not for you.
I mean, there's an element of truth to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that.
It's not for everyone.
There's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
And so I always harp on cold calling because I see so many people hire a cold caller early. And for me, I think that if you're not good on the phones, it'd be really hard to be good in the living room.
Yeah.
Right? At the kitchen table.
Yep.
Right? That
there's
repetitive
no doubt about that.
Getting punched in the mouth. Like you learn on the phone, like don't say flip.
Yep.
If you say flip, it's a trigger word.
Oh.
Right?
Wait a minute. Yeah.
And you lose rapport.
Yeah.
You learn this from cold calling.
Yep.
It's the same thing in the living room. If you're
exactly.
not honing your skills on the phones.
And you have to, it's important.
And now you walk into the living room where there's actual money at stake.
Yep, exactly.
You can make some very expensive lessons.
Oh, for sure.
So how can someone reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram. My name on there is Luke_RO_. Yeah, and then on YouTube we're the Viking Boys. So we've got a channel on there where I'll do like live cold calling where I'm playing Madden. I think you've seen some of those.
I have.
So yeah, we'll do live cold calling with Madden. We do some like our deal breakdowns. We do like Airbnb walkthroughs. Some of our new construction stuff, some of our developing. So just a little bit of everything that we do.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Appreciate it. And thank you for the shoes. I will let you know how the shoes do next week.
Yeah, you better. Absolutely.
Thank you guys for watching. See you next week.
Awesome. Thanks.